And I would also want to say this, because there seems to be in this country like there is some tendency to think that county governments don't work. There is no other officer in this country who is more oversighted than a governor. A governor is oversighted at the county assembly level, then oversighted at the Senate. So who oversights the rest of these other officers? The president should be essentially being oversighted by Parliament, but your guess is as good as mine. They are in bed together. That's the truth. So even as we focus and try to push around the devolution and try to demonize governors, it is important to know that we are the most oversighted officers in this country who have to go through double oversight. Here is the Senate, here is the county assembly, and yet you are still talking of only 15% of Kenya's revenue. When we began this devolution journey, we had a ministry of devolution under the current governor of Kirinyaga, Governor Waiguru. Suddenly, after some time, it became a small department somewhere. Today, it is a state department. So what are we saying? Is that our commitment to devolution? What we are saying is we would want a fully fledged ministry that is really ensuring that we stop teetering and we walk straight and make giant steps towards full realization of devolution. At the same time, like my colleague has said, timely release of the necessary funds. And here we must call out MPs. And just tell MPs that there is an attempt to rewrite the constitution because they have the powers by not doing what they are elected to do. The constitution stipulates only two levels of government. That is county governments and national governments. The constituency has never ever been an executive, recognized as an executive. And what do we mean? The role of an MP, there are three roles. That is oversight, representation, and legislation. So the issue of CDF doesn't arise. CDF should just simply be taken. If it's a national government project, then it's done by the national government. If it is a county project, then it's given to us. And let's stop acting like we want to redo the constitution,
That we also share your frustration as development partners in the flow of funds, in the timely disbursement and release of funds for projects, and especially in timely appropriation of funds. And I've had the country director of World Bank with respect to the frustration that the bank has when it comes to the passing of the County Government's Additional Allocation Act. We have shared that frustration with the Senate Budget and Appropriations Committee. We have raised it in IBEC. We will continue to raise it. It's our hope and prayer that we will get back to the system that we initially had, where County Additional Allocation Act is somewhat combined with the County Allocation of Revenue Act, so that we do not have two acts funding county governments where one is passed well before the other. For this fiscal year, for instance, we are yet, as counties, to actually receive the monies that were appropriated under the County Government's Additional Allocation Act. And it's barely how many days to the fiscal year end? Less than. We are now mid-May, end May, and usually the procurement system does not allow you to access or commit new procurement towards the end of May. The program is tailored to address real changes on the ground and to strengthen institutional systems for more effective, accountable and sustainable service delivery. I'd like to particularly...
All Kenyans are aware, even the donors of World Bank are aware, that the SIGA was passed 1 month ago, which is just 1 month to end of financial year. It was signed about 2 or 3 weeks ago. The disbursement schedule as we sit here has not been released to the Treasury by the Senate. By the time those monies hit the accounts, it will just be days to the end of the financial year, not months. Yet that will be counted, or it will be factored as one of the conditions of being able to qualify for some of the funding, because absorption of resources that are supposed to have been absorbed within 12 months, being absorbed within a week or two is almost impossible. And if it happens, then it will not be a normal absorption, but an enhanced absorption, which in this case will also raise other issues. The procurement process, of course, the IFMIS is closed just before the end of the financial year. By the end of May, IFMIS, in terms of being opened for procurement, it is not possible. And when and until we address that issue of timely release of all disbursements, then some of these programs may always be having a reporting of below 50% in terms of performance. And you cannot blame it to the governors, you can't blame it to the county governments, you can't blame it to implementing agencies, including the donors themselves. Some of those factors or some of those parameters that have been put in KDSP will not be achieved unless we, as a nation, as a government, both national and the county government, ensure that we have clear timelines that are set by the Constitution in the disbursement of resources. And especially when it comes to the issue of county government's additional allocation act, it cannot be normal that funds that are supposed to be used the whole year are only made available for 1 month.
The country currently faces fiscal constraints which have affected the available resources across the board. Yet within the challenge lies a great opportunity, an opportunity to rethink and strengthen on-source revenue collection at county level. Under KDSP2, OSR is a key reform outcome. I commend the Commission on Revenue Allocation for its leadership in developing revenue mapping guidelines, which have already helped counties like Machakos and Mombasa identify and optimize diverse revenue streams. The country currently faces fiscal constraints which have affected the available resources across the board. Yet within the challenge lies a great opportunity, an opportunity to rethink and strengthen on-source revenue collection at county level. Under KDSP2, OSR is a key reform outcome. I commend the Commission on Revenue Allocation for its leadership in developing revenue mapping guidelines, which have already helped counties like Machakos and Mombasa identify and optimize diverse revenue streams, despite the high cost of mapping exercise. These guidelines assist county governments to identify different revenue streams, learning which one gives more revenue compared to others. The country currently faces fiscal constraints which have affected the available resources across the board. Yet within the challenge lies a great opportunity, an opportunity to rethink and strengthen on-source revenue collection at county level. And as leaders in the development space, we must adopt modern, inclusive, and effective public participation models. Citizens must be part of the process, not just as observers, but as co-creators of the development agenda. In the new era of information age, it behooves us as leaders in the devolution space to rethink how to structure successful public participation models. When citizens are involved in decision-making, it makes it easier for county governments to identify the right projects to implement. This is because these projects reflect the wishes of the people.